The Xal'ther diplomatic station scaled sanctuary hung like a crystalline monument against the amber glow of the Kepler 442 system's twin suns. Its bioengineered coral walls pulsed with bioluminescent veins, a testament to the reptilian race's mastery over living architecture. Ambassador Lien Rourke pressed her palm against the viewing port of the human shuttle, watching the station's serpentine spires twist gracefully through space. First time seeing Xal'ther biotech up close. Dr. Ava Chun adjusted her portable analysis kit, the compact device humming as it cataloged atmospheric readings through the shuttle's sensors. Third, actually, Lien replied, her Lagos accent lending warmth to the sterile cabin air. But it never gets less impressive, or less unsettling. Sergeant Carlos Mendez snorted from his seat, polishing his dress uniform's ceremonial insignia. Pretty fancy for a species that thinks we're barely evolved apes. Asterisk barely evolved apes with nuclear weapons and a concerning appetite for chemical warfare, disguised as cuisine. Asterisk, Lien corrected with a wry smile. Don't forget last month's incident with the Rigelian delegation and those Carolina Reaper hot wings. The shuttle's pilot, a young ensign whose hands trembled slightly on the controls, cleared his throat. Ma'am, we're receiving docking clearance. The Xal'ther are emphasizing the honor of this invitation. Dr. Chin's scanner beeped softly. Elevated pheromone levels in their atmospheric mix. Either they're nervous or... She paused, frowning at her readings. Or they're planning something. Mendez finished, his casual tone masking years of combat intuition. The scaled sanctuary's docking bay welcomed them with humid air that tasted of ozone and something faintly metallic. High Curator Xal'ther awaited them at the airlock, his 7-foot frame draped in ceremonial scales that shifted between deep green and gold. His vertical pupils tracked their movements with predatory precision. "Welcome, honored humans," he hissed, the universal translator rendering his words with artificial warmth. "Your presence brings distinction to our humble station." Lien extended her hand in the traditional human greeting, noting how Xal'ther's cold flesh recoiled slightly from her natural body heat. "The honor is ours, High Curator. Earth's diplomatic corps has been eager to strengthen our cultural exchange. Indeed, tonight's feast shall be memorable." Xal'ther's internal eyelids flickered, what Dr. Chin's xenobiology training recognized as a suppressed threat display. "We have prepared dishes from the finest traditions of the Dominion. Some have not been served to alien guests in over 2 centuries." As they walked through corridors lined with living walls that seemed to watch their passage, Dr. Chun discreetly activated her bioscanner. The station's atmospheric composition included trace amounts of dozens of compounds her database couldn't identify. Not unusual for alien environments, but worth monitoring. 2 centuries? Mendez asked conversationally. "What's the occasion?" Xal'ther's tail swished behind him. The last guests to receive such hospitality were the Avari delegation. A proud warrior species, much like yourselves. They found our cuisine quite overwhelming. The dining hall opened before them like the inside of a massive geode, its walls faceted with bioluminescent crystals that cast dancing patterns across a table carved from a single piece of fossilized coral. 7 other species sat around the enormous surface, representatives from across the galactic cooperative. Lien recognized the insectoid Zephyrians, the gaseous nebular collective's containment suits, and the crystalline lithoid republic's mineral ambassadors. All of them watched the humans with what could only be described as morbid curiosity. "Please, honored guests," Xal'ther gestured to 3 seats carved with human proportions. "Tonight, you dine as true members of our galactic community." The first courses arrived on plates that seemed grown rather than manufactured, served by Xal'ther attendants whose movements carried an unusual tension. Standard diplomatic fare, proteins synthesized to human nutritional requirements, vegetables from Earth-compatible biomes, beverages that sparkled with harmless effervescence. Lien noticed the other alien delegations barely touched their food, instead engaging in careful diplomatic conversation about trade routes and resource allocation. The Zephyrian ambassador's compound eyes never left the humans, while the Nebular Collective's representative pulsed with agitated colors within their containment field. The main course, Xal'ther announced as servers approached with covered dishes that emanated an aroma both enticing and ominous, is Kethmoran, the crown of convergence. A delicacy prepared only for the most resilient guests. Dr. Chen's scanner chirped softly in her lap. The biochemical readings were off the charts. Complex alkaloids, modified proteins, and at least a dozen compounds are database flagged as potentially hazardous. She caught Lien's eye and tapped twice on her thigh, their agreed signal for caution. The servers lifted the covers in unison, revealing portions of what appeared to be glazed meat in a sauce that shimmered with an oily, iridescent quality. The smell hit them immediately. Intense, complex, with notes that reminded Lien of her grandmother's pepper soup, mixed with something sharper, more chemical. "Beautiful presentation," she said diplomatically, lifting her utensil. Around the table, the other aliens had gone completely still, even the normally chatty Zephyrians falling silent. Xal'ther settled into his chair with predatory grace, his golden eyes fixed on the humans. "Please, you must try it while the enhancement compounds are at their peak potency." Dr. Chun took a small, careful bite. The flavors exploded across her palate. Heat that built slowly, then seared, followed by a numbing sensation and an odd metallic aftertaste. Her scanner, still running, began displaying readings that would have alarmed anyone familiar with human biochemistry. But Dr. Chun just chewed thoughtfully, swallowed, and reached for her water glass. "Interesting spice profile," she said. "Very complex. Is that a capsaicin derivative I'm tasting?" Mendez, who had just taken a considerably larger bite, paused mid-chew. "Huh. Tastes like ghost pepper met battery acid in a back alley." He swallowed and grinned. "I kinda love it." Lien tried her portion, her expression shifting from diplomatic politeness to genuine curiosity. "This is remarkable. The heat builds in waves, but there's something else, almost effervescent, like carbonation, but for your nervous system." Around the table, the assembled aliens exchanged glances that ranged from confusion to outright alarm. The Zephyrian ambassador's antennae twitched frantically, while the Nebular Collective's representative pulsed a deep, disturbed purple. Xal'ther's vertical pupils dilated to thin slits. "You find it palatable?" "More than palatable," Dr. Chen said, taking another bite while consulting her scanner. "The biochemical complexity is fascinating. These alkaloid chains, are they naturally occurring, or is this some kind of fermentation process?" High Curator Xal'ther felt his core temperature drop as he watched the humans consume their second helpings of Kethmoran with evident enthusiasm. Around the diplomatic table, representatives from 7 galactic civilizations sat in stunned silence, watching what should have been an execution disguised as dinner turned into something resembling an enthusiastic food review. "The preparation must be incredibly complex," Ambassador Rourke continued, seemingly oblivious to the toxic compounds that should have left her convulsing on the floor minutes ago. "How long does the fermentation process take?" Dr. Chun was openly scanning her portion now, her device beeping with readings that made the Xal'ther's carefully calculated poison profile look like a child's chemistry set. "I'm detecting modified batrachotoxin analogs, synthetic conotoxins, and what appears to be a weaponized version of tetrodotoxin. But they're arranged in these beautiful molecular cascades that actually seem to enhance each other's bioavailability." "English doc?" Sergeant Mendez asked, reaching for thirds. "It's like someone took a dozen different nerve agents and organized them into the world's most complicated flavor bomb," she explained cheerfully. "The delivery system is absolutely elegant. I'd love to see how they synthesize these compounds." Xal'ther's throat sac inflated and deflated rapidly, a sign of extreme distress that the other aliens recognized immediately. The Zephyrian ambassador actually scooted her chair away from the table, her compound eyes reflecting the bioluminescent walls in fractured patterns of panic. "Synthesized," Xal'ther managed. "The Kethmoran contains only traditional ingredients. The venom sacs of the crimson stalker, fermented in the acidic pools of Morthec prime for 7 cycles, combined with the neural toxins of the deep whisper fungi and the concentrated essence of the screaming orchid. Oh, so it's more of a natural extraction process. Dr. Chen nodded enthusiastically. That explains the complex protein folding. The biological source materials would maintain their quaternary structures much better than synthetic alternatives. Lien dabbed at her lips with her napkin, noting the way the other ambassadors seemed to be holding their breath. Hi, Curator. This has to be one of the most sophisticated dishes I've ever encountered. The way the heat builds and transforms, it's like a symphony in your mouth. Do you have the recipe? The question hit the assembled aliens like a physical blow. The crystalline lithoid republic's representative actually cracked, a hairline fracture appearing across their mineral surface, while the nebular collective's containment field flickered with shocked yellow. Recipe, Sithek repeated weakly. We'd love to try preparing this back on Earth, Mendez added, leaning back in his chair with a satisfied air of someone who'd just enjoyed an excellent meal. Maybe tone down the numbing effect just a touch. I've got friends who might find that intensity a little much on first try. Dr. Chen pulled out a datapad and began taking notes. The flavor profile would pair beautifully with some of our Earth ingredients. Have you ever tried capsaicin? It's derived from plants in the capsicum genus. We could probably create some interesting fusion dishes. Capsaicin, the Zephyrian ambassador whispered, her translation unit barely functional. The compound that destroyed the taste receptors of the Rigelian delegation? Oh, that was just a misunderstanding, Lien waved dismissively. They weren't expecting the heat level in those buffalo wings. Though to be fair, we did warn them that mild was relative. Sithek's claws scraped against the coral table surface. The Kethmoran had been crafted over centuries of careful biochemical warfare, a dish so lethally precise that it had eliminated the entire Avari diplomatic corps in under an hour. The Dominion's xenobiologists had spent decades perfecting the compound interactions, ensuring that the toxins would overwhelm any known alien physiology. And these humans were asking for the recipe like it was their grandmother's soup. The Avari warriors, he stammered. This same dish. They lasted only minutes before. Different metabolisms, probably, Dr. Chun said sympathetically. Alien biochemistry can be tricky. We learned that the hard way when we served chocolate to the aquatic hegemony's delegation. Apparently, theobromine is incredibly toxic to their species. Who knew? You poisoned the aquatic hegemony, the Lithoid Republic's ambassador asked, their crystalline voice resonating with harmonic distress. Accidentally, Lien protested. It was a welcome gift. Earth chocolate is considered a delicacy. We had no idea it would cause temporary paralysis in aquatic neural systems. Mendez chuckled. Dakshin here spent 3 days synthesizing an antidote while I tried to explain to very angry fish people that we weren't attempting an assassination. The antidote worked perfectly, Dr. Chun added proudly. And we learned valuable lessons about xenobiological compatibility testing. Now we always run preliminary scans before sharing Earth cuisine. She gestured to her scanner, which was still cheerfully cataloging the molecular structure of compounds that should have killed her. Speaking of which, these readings are fascinating. The toxin concentrations would be lethal to most carbon-based life forms, but human liver enzymes are incredibly robust. Plus, our capsaicin receptors are already adapted to process similar alkaloid structures. Your species consumes toxins recreationally. The nebular collective's representative pulsed, their containment fields cycling through colors that had no names in human language. All the time, Lien confirmed. Capsaicin, caffeine, ethanol, theobromine. We've even got competitive eating contests where people try to consume increasingly dangerous amounts of spicy food. The Carolina Reaper pepper clocks in at over 2 million Scoville heat units, Mendez added helpfully. I once ate 3 of them on a dare. $150 and couldn't taste anything for a week. Sithek's internal eyelids flickered rapidly as he processed this information. The humans had not only survived the Kethmoran, they had enjoyed it. More than that, They were treating it like a novel culinary experience rather than the sophisticated biological weapon it was designed to be. Around the table, the other alien delegations were reassessing everything they thought they knew about humanity. The species that had accidentally poisoned the aquatic hegemony with a welcome gift, that consumed neurotoxins for entertainment, that treated the Dominion's most lethal creation like an interesting appetizer. High Curator, Lien said, her diplomatic smile masking what was becoming a very different kind of negotiation. Earth's culinary exchange program would be incredibly interested in incorporating Xal'ther techniques. We could offer some of our own traditional recipes in return. She gestured casually, but every alien at the table recognized the implicit threat. If humans could consume the Keth Moran like it was a pleasant dinner course, what exactly were they capable of creating? Perhaps, Dr. Chin added innocently, we could start with something simple. Do you know if your physiology is compatible with capsaicin? We have some lovely habanero varieties that might pair well with your traditional proteins. Sithek's throat sac collapsed entirely. The Dominion had spent the last 6 months planning this diplomatic assassination, crafting the perfect biological weapon disguised as hospitality. Instead, they had accidentally created what appeared to be humanity's new favorite condiment. And now the humans wanted to cook for them. The recipe, he whispered, his voice barely audible above the station's atmosphere processors. That would be wonderful, Lien beamed. Oh, and High Curator? Any chance we could get some of that sauce to take home? I've got a barbecue next weekend, and I think my neighbors would love to try something this exotic. As Sithek began to comprehend the full scope of what had just occurred and what it meant for the Dominion's future interactions with humanity, the other alien ambassadors were already calculating how quickly they could revise their own diplomatic strategies. The humans had just turned an assassination attempt into a recipe request, and somehow that was the most terrifying thing any of them had ever witnessed.